What happened in the markets today? 1. Markets end mixed with banks dominating the session. U.S. equities gave up early gains and ended mixed following government intervention to shore up the banking sector after the failure of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. The stock market had been up most of the session as troubles in the financial sector boosted speculation the Federal Reserve may hold off on raising interest rates to fight inflation. However, the Dow and S&P 500 were in the red by the close of trading, while the Nasdaq added 0.5%. Bond and gold prices shot up in a flight to quality by investors seeking safe haven assets. It was another big day of losses for regional banks, which dominated the list of worst performing stocks in the S&P 500. First Republic Bank, FRC, shares plunged again, down 62% despite moves to reassure investors it was adequately financed. Shares of Comerica, CMA, KeyCorp, Key, and Zions Bancorporation, Zion, tumbled more than 25%. Large bank stocks stumbled as well, with Citigroup, C, and Wells Fargo, WFC, shares slipping 7%. Shares of Charles Schwab, SCHW, lost ground even as the discount brokerage moved to distance itself from the banking problems, more below. The yield on the 10-year Treasury note sank to its lowest level in more than a month, and that lifted stocks that become more attractive when borrowing costs go down. Tech stocks advanced, led higher by shares of all the FAMG companies. Tesla, DSLA, and Salesforce, CRM, shares climbed. Shares of D.R. Horton, DHI, and rival homebuilders rose. Surging gold futures pushed up shares of Newmont Corporation, NEM, and other miners. Consumer staple stocks, such as Procter & Gamble, PG, and Campbell Soup, CPB, moved up. Illumina, ILMN, shares jumped following a report that activist investor Carl Icahn is preparing to wage a proxy fight at the biotech company. Another biotech firm, Seagen, SEG, saw its shares soar after Pfizer, PFE, agreed to buy it for $43 billion. Oil prices sank. The US dollar fell versus the euro, pound, and yen. It was a big day for cryptocurrency bulls, as optimism over the federal assistance for banks sent digital coin prices skyrocketing. From the editor's desk too, Charles Schwab says its financial situation is sound as shares slump. Charles Schwab, SCHW, shares continued their recent slide even as the discount brokerage tried to convince investors it is not facing similar threats that brought down Silicon Valley Bank. CFO Peter Crawford wrote in the company's monthly activities highlights report that Schwab's business continues to perform exceptionally well, noting that last month's core net new assets of $41.7 billion were the second highest for a February in history. Crawford added that client outflows in February were $5 billion less than in January, and so far in March, the daily average outflows are consistent with those of last month. He pointed out that more than 80% of its total bank deposits fall within FDIC insurance limits. Longer-term bond holdings. Schwab has been caught in the crossfire of the current banking crisis because of its large holdings of longer-term bonds. The concern is Schwab might be forced to sell them at a loss to try to cover client withdrawals, a scenario that led to the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. Crawford explained that because the company has significant access to other sources of liquidity, it won't be forced to sell bonds prematurely. He argued that Schwab is well positioned to navigate the current environment. Shares of Charles Schwab fell 11.5%, although at one juncture they had tumbled 23%. The shares have lost about one-third of their value over the past 3 sessions. From the editor's desk 3, Walmart offers 2022 prices to draw in Easter shoppers. Walmart, WMT, is hoping to attract Easter shoppers squeezed by high food prices, especially for eggs, by offering holiday meals and baskets at last year's prices. Walmart noted that even with some food costs stabilizing, they remain high overall, especially for Easter essentials such as eggs. It added that 65% of its customers indicated they expected inflation to impact their Easter celebrations. The retailer explained that it is trying to offset those higher costs by keeping other prices down, with both its Easter meal and basket costing less than $100. The meal features ham, green beans, pie, and other holiday favorites, while the basket contains chocolate eggs, bunnies, and toys. The deals are available both in stores and online through April 15. High food inflation. Walmart pointed out in its fourth-quarter earnings conference call that it was trying to stay true to its low-price philosophy. It said then that food inflation remained high, coming in at a mid-teens %, and that nearly half of the gains in grocery sales during the period were from high-income shoppers. The Labor Department reported the price of eggs soared 70% in January from the year before, and were up 8.5% from December. A key reason was an outbreak of avian flu, limiting supplies. Market movers 4, S&P 500 top and bottom performers.